Hey everybody, welcome to another video with the Read With Me series. Continue the Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life where I left off. So here we go. If you add some sugar to cold water and stir it, the sugar will dissolve. If you heat up that water, you can dissolve more. If you heat the water to boiling, you can add a lot more sugar and get that to dissolve too. Then, if you take that boiling sugar water and slowly cool it and don't dump it or draw it, you can trick it. I don't know how else to phrase this into holding a lot more dissolved sugar than it would have if it had remained cold all along. That's called a supersaturated solution. If you drop a single crystal of sugar into that supersaturated solution, all the excess sugar will suddenly and dramatically crystallize. It's as it were crying out for order. That was my client. People like her are the reason that the many forms of psychotherapy currently practiced all work. People can be so confused that their psyches will be ordered and their lives improved by the adoption of any reasonable orderly system of interpretation. This is the bringing together of the dis- disparate disparate elements of their lives in a disciplined manner. So if you have come apart at the seams, or if you never had been together at all, you can restructure your life on Freudian, Judean, Aurelian, Rogerian, or behavior principles. At least when you make sense, at least then you're coherent. At least then you might be good for something. If not good yet for everything, you can't fix a car with an axe, but you can cut down a tree. That's still something. At about the same time I was seeing this client, the media was all afire with stories of recovered memories, particularly of sexual assault. The dispute raged apace. Were these genuine accounts of past trauma, or were they post hoc constructs dreamt up as a consequence of pressure wittingly or unwittingly applied by incautious therapists, grasped onto desperately by clinical clients all too eager to find a simple cause for their trouble. Sometimes it was the former, perhaps, and sometimes the latter. I understood much more clearly and precisely, however, now easy it might be to instill a false memory into mental landscape as soon as my client revealed her uncertainty about her sexual experiences. The past appears fixed, but it's not in an important psychological sense. There's an awful lot of the past. There is an awful lot to the past, after all, and the way we organize it can be subject to drastic revision. Imagine, for example, a movie where nothing but terrible things happen, but in the end, everything worked out. Everything is resolved. A sufficiently happy ending can change the meaning of all of the previous events. They can all be viewed as worthwhile given that ending. Now imagine another movie, a lot of things are happening. They're all exciting and interesting, but there are lots of them. 19 minutes in, you start to worry. This is a great movie, you think, but there are a lot of things going on. I sure hope the filmmaker can pull this all together, but that doesn't happen. Instead, the story ends abruptly, unresolved, or something facile, facile, and cliche occurs. You leave deeply annoyed and unsatisfied, failing to notice that you were fully engaged and enjoying the movie almost the whole time you were in the theater. The present can change the past, and the future can change the present. When you're remembering the past as well, you're remembering some parts of it and forget others. You have clear memories of some things that happened, but not others, of potentially equal import. Just as in the present, you are aware of some aspect of your surrounding and unconscious of others. You categorize your experience, grouping some elements together and separating them from the rest. There's a mysterious arbitrariness arbitrariness about all of this. You don't form a comprehensive, objective record. You can't. You just don't know enough. You just can't perceive enough. You're not objective either. Either you're alive, you're subjective. You have vested interests, or at least in yourself, at least usually. What exactly should be included in the story? Where exactly is the border between events? The sexual abuse of children is distressingly common. However, it's not as common as poorly trained psychotherapists think, and it also does not always produce terrible damaged adults. People vary in their resilience. An event that will wipe one person out can be shrugged off by another, but therapists with a little second-hand knowledge of feels often axiom- axiomatically assume that a distressed adult in their practice must have been subject to childhood sexual abuse. Why else would they be distressed? So they dig and infer and intimate and suggest and overreact and bias and tilt. They exaggerate the importance of some events and downplay the importance of others. They trim the facts to fit their story, their theory, and they convince their clients that they were sexually abused. If they could only remember, and then the clients start to remember, and then they start to accuse, and sometimes what they remember never happened, and the people accused are innocent. The good news? At least the therapist's theory remains intact. That's good for a therapist, but there's no shortage of collateral damage. However, people are often willing to produce a lot of collateral damage if they can retain their theories. Okay, so what I read is that psychotherapists can do a lot of damage to the clients if they are not aware of their biases. You know, Jordan gave example of some therapists would want their theories of their clients to be right than to be actually helpful to the client. And also the client that Jordan mentioned, how she had sexual abuse, or she thought she had sexual abuse, that may not be true at all, because of how the person experienced events, and it couldn't be made up in their mind. So a well-trained psychotherapist is very crucial to diagnose mental health, in my opinion.